Hey guys, I'm Micah to make stuff. Measure twice, cut once. Everyone says that, right? Measuring twice, 3 times, 8 times doesn't guarantee you anything. It doesn't give you any of the accuracy that you think you're getting. Today I'm going to bust some measurement myths that have probably wasted more wood, more metal, and more time than anything else in your shop. I'm going to dive a little bit into the history of measurements and why accuracy was never, ever important to begin with. And I'm going to give you some tips that'll let you build perfectly without having to chase those zeros. Stick around.
I fix them right up, and I make them better. Oh.
All right. First myth in making things. Accuracy is everything. No, it's not. Accuracy doesn't matter at all. It never did. Consistency is everything. Your tape measure might be slightly off compared to your ruler, or compared to your yardstick, or compared to the measurements on your square. That brings me into the very first tip that I got for you. If you use the very same tape measure, start to finish, throughout the entire project, your parts are going to fit together no matter if this measurement is true in the absolute universe. Think about this. If I start the project and I'm measuring with tape measure A, and then I switch to the measurements that are on my framing square, this is most certainly off from this one. As a matter of fact, let's check it. Already in 16 inches, I'm off by almost everything. Not really doing myself any favors. And if I use that combination of the two measuring methods in order to work on something that's going to come together, they're not going to unite. They're not going to come together flush. But if I used this same tape measure, start to finish through the whole project, everything is technically accurate because it's consistently inaccurate. Here's a bit of the historic truth. Bad measurements built empires from the very beginning. We'll go all the way back and we'll think about the pyramids, which everybody still hails today as the marvel of modern engineering. Unbelievable how they were able to do that, right? How could you get such precision? In ancient Egypt, builders used a cubit. Now the cubit was the length of the pharaoh's elbow to his fingertip. This was a cubit. Obviously, that depended on the pharaoh. And is the pharaoh going to run out there and put his arm up against everything? No, of course not. Here's the kicker. Workers worked issued with their own cubit rods. As long as every stone in the pyramid was cut using the same cubit rod, it didn't matter if it was a fraction longer or a little bit shorter than the official cubit. Not because they were accurate, but because they were consistent. The Romans, when you look back at them, they had the bes, the foot, which was about 11.65 inches. But it varied from region to region. Masons used wooden rods that, again, marked with their version of what the foot was. But when you look at it, thousands of years later, the roads still met up. The arches still came together and didn't fall down. The aqueducts still flowed. Not because it was accurate, but because it was consistent. In medieval England, they ended up taking a page out of the Pharaoh's book. And all of the units of measurement that were standardized then were based on the body of the king. The yard was from the center of King Henry I's nose to his thumb. An inch was the width of King Edward II's thumb at the base of his thumbnail. But see, here's the thing. A cathedral in York didn't care about the size of Henry I's arm in London. Masons used their own yardsticks on site. Starting to see a trend here. There was even a point in time where they defined an inch as 3 grains of barley end to end. You ever held a handful of barley? They're not the same size, bro. It just doesn't happen. But the point was, everybody took as a rough gauge of where they should be, and carpenters made and standardized their own inch, and then they used that as the base and stayed consistent. So at the end of the day, all of these buildings, all of these monumental triumphs throughout history, not a single one of them cared one moment about accuracy. They all cared about consistency. And you should too. A second check that I could tell you to do is check your hook. If you're using a tape measure, it has a hook. Now, a lot of people do this in YouTube videos and they talk about it like it's some kind of big secret. But this is meant to move. And it moves the thickness of this hook. That does that so that you can hook over the top of something and it gets out of the way, so you can have the same measurement as you would pushing it up against something, retracting it in, and it still comes up to the same measurement. Here's how you know you can calibrate your own tape to make sure that it's good to go. Push it up against the surface and make a measurement. Then hook over that same surface and make another measurement. And if they come out the same, then the rivets in your hook are still good to go. If they deviate, then you know you've had this become too loose. It may be time to change your tape measure. And it will do that over time, because every time this happens, it slaps just a little bit and it widens those holes by a microscopic increment. Pencils have a thickness. Markers are even worse, even Sharpies. Always mark the same way. If I'm going to mark against a straight edge, marking this way is going to give me one measurement. Marking at another angle is going to give me another. I can eliminate that by being consistent and making my marks the same way every time. I present to you the most accurate measuring tool that you will ever have. We're going to call it a story stick. Let's say that I need something as long as my pair of pliers here. I will simply put a mark there and a mark down there, and I have a standardized system of measurement right here in my hand. As long as I work off this unit, I can build things that are 1 plier long, 5 pliers long, 50 pliers long. This is how they got it done back in the day. No math errors, no reading the wrong marks on your tape measure, no worrying about fractions or decimals, just old school precision. If you're going to use an incremental standardized measurement, it's been an argument forever about, should we go imperial or metric? Should it be inches or millimeters? Again, I bet given the rest of this video you already can tell, it doesn't matter. Just pick one and stay with it. There are people who will tell you that 26 millimeters is pretty much an inch. Pretty much. Pretty much. But it's not. They're not the same. Don't switch from metric to imperial within a project. It's literally the same as you getting in your car, starting on your way to work on the right side of the road and switching to the left. You're going to crash the whole project. Look, I hope you took something out of this. The one thing that I wanted you to know is that making stuff is about fit, function, and finish. It is not about chasing absolute accuracy to the 128th of an inch. It's just not. It never was, nor would it ever be, unless you're a machinist making aerospace parts, and that's literally rocket science. For woodworkers, for makers, for welders, for builders, consistency is key. If you stay consistent, your joints will align, your panels will stay flat, your builds will go together smoother, you'll have a whole lot less stress, and the best part, you get to stop obsessing over thousands of an inch. And you get to start focusing on what you want to do, which is make stuff. Listen guys, I hope you really enjoyed that video. I hope it was informational for you. I hope it was at least entertaining in some way. If you felt like I earned your subscription, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. Maybe consider becoming a Mike is Making Stuff member. It would be definitely something that I would find appreciative, and we do have some exclusive perks. We do have a weekly live session that we do every Friday night at 9:30 Central. I'll get some links into the description for our Discord, our Facebook community. We look forward to having you become part of what we're doing. Again, I'm Mike, and I make stuff. Thanks for watching.
I fix them right.